You're early.
Yeah.
You're early.
Yeah, better be early, huh? Early bird gets the worm.
How are you?
I'm upset. Where's Ernie's in Arizona now?
No, he said Thursday or Wednesday. I don't think he's in Arizona because I
Oh.
asked him because I said, be careful with the time. Oh no, it's the same. It's the same time. I don't think it's the same time, but it may be. Arizona never changes the time.
Yeah.
So
Whatever. Today
you're
was
not
a
in a
hot day
rush.
today, huh?
Yeah. And I think tomorrow as well.
Tomorrow as well, yeah.
I don't
My
know,
daughter, my granddaughter got married today.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, in New York. I couldn't make it in.
Did you see it on Zoom?
A little bit. Wasn't very clear though, because it was in the Catskills. Was not very good. Was not good reception there, so we saw a little bit, not much. So
Did they have many people?
yeah, there are a lot of people. That's why I'm glad I didn't go in. You know, all the New York people came in to the boy's father's a rabbi. He's got a big community in Muncie. They all came in. No social distancing, no masks, you know. I was just too afraid to go in. I mean, I love it. My granddaughter.
I'm glad you stayed, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't, you know, it's dangerous to go. I don't want to take a chance. I'd love to have gone.
No.
But there's no, you know, people in New York have a different saga than we do, you know. Yeah.
They're stupid.
Yeah, they do. Either they've had it or they don't care, you know. They don't, even here, it went out of here that they had, you know, the things went up. They went up a lot.
You know, my office is closed now. They're reopening again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I had to take a test this morning. I'm waiting for the result. If not, I cannot go back into the office. One person tested positive.
Really?
I don't know who it is. They didn't tell me. So the office closed.
There's a place up here on La Brea in Fountain. In a, you know, they can do it in 15 minutes. Cost you $100.
No, I went to Venice and Culver's, and it was free.
Where?
Venice and Culver.
What's
It's
slower?
like a shopping center, and I arrived at 10 to 9. I was the first one.
Oh.
With my wife, and so we left 20 minutes later because we had to fill in papers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
But I didn't ask for the fast test. I asked for the CRO or CROP, whatever it's called.
So,
but
all right.
Hello, how are you?
All right.
Well,
oh, here's Johnny.
We missed Johnny last night by the Novi Shear.
Yeah, you can ask him now. He's there.
Okay. Well, we missed him. That's all.
Yeah, hi Ernie.
Hi,
How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Ernie.
No, I have my grandkids and everyone here, so I was kind of busy.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Baruch Hashem.
Okay, so we're tests. Ahmed Bay's on the bottom. We'll be doing Daf Kuf today, 100. Ilan Shaya Mesach al Haaretz. You have a tree, it's got a lot of branches, and the branches hang down. So im ein nofel gavoa min ha'aretz shloshet tfachim. as long as the branches come to within 3 tfachim of the ground. So we say lavud, our old friend lavud, and it basically closes off as if you have walls, and they're metaflin tachtav. Therefore, you can carry underneath the tree. However, sharshav goyim arch shlosha tfachim. Let's say if you have roots that are sticking out from the ground above 3 tfachim, lo yeshav aleim. There is a gzeira that you're not allowed to climb a tree on Shabbos, or even to touch a tree or use a tree, because you might come to pick something off of the tree. So a branch that is greater than 3 tfachim from the ground is considered like a tree, and therefore you can't sit on it. That if you meet the criteria of what the Mishnah said, that you have a tree that has branches that go to within 3 tfachim of the ground, and like they have walls. So if it's greater than 5,000 square amas, you're not allowed to go more than 4 amas, because it's like a base, like if it doesn't have a base dira, like a walled in place that's greater than 5,000 square amas that has a base dira attached to it, you're allowed to carry there. But if there's no base dira attached to it, so you got a limit up until 5,000 square amas. Beyond that, you can't. Afraid Gemara, my time, or why can't you carry? Mishum David dira shetashmish la'avir. See, it's not a dira for you to dwell there all the time. It's really for just people who, it's meant for the people out in the field it's really meant for the outdoors. You have a limit of only 5,000 square amas. Then the Mishnah says, Shorsha of Goyim Haaretz. If the roots are higher than if the branches stick out of the ground more than 3 tfachim, the Mishnah says you're not allowed to use those branches like a tree. Itmar. Sharshe ilin aboim l'malam mishlosha l'toch shlosha. You have some of the branches above 3, and some of the branches below 3.
That's the roots, right?
We're talking about the roots. I'm sorry, the roots. Rabba mamurta l'shtamish ba. Rabba says you can sit on the root. Rav Sheish Amar also l'shtamish ba. Rabba mamurta l'shtamish ba d'chol pachos mishlosha da'ara arahi. He says you can sit on the part of the root that's within 3 tfachim of the ground, because that's considered like the ground, within 3 tfachim. And it's not considered like the tree. Rav Sheish Amar also l'shtamish ba d'kiva d'mikoach isr ko'asi. Yeah, but this branch starts off from a height of more than 3 tfachim, where there's a prohibition to use it. So since the lower part of the branch emanates from koach ha'isr asurim, didamu kimushunisa. It's like these branches, the sakin la'ela, that go up. If you have a root that's flying up, asurim, you certainly can't sit on the part that is you can't sit on the upper part according to everybody. But the nachman l'tatoy shoru. But the branches that are below would be permitted. No. Yeah, the branches that are below 3 would be permitted. What about l'tstadin? Rashi says, "Ashorshim aktonim hayotzim mitoch gova shel gedolim." You have branches that are high, above 3 tvachim, but then there are little branches coming out of that branch that are going towards 3 tvachim of the ground. So that is plukta the Rabbah Rav Sheshes. That's the Chanami, the same machloikas. Rabbah would permit it, Rav Sheshes would aser. The Chena Nigra, the same is a tree that grows out of like a ditch. And do you measure the 3 tvachim from the bottom of the ditch or from the above the ground that the tree grows? That would be machloikas. Rabbah would say you don't look at the bottom of the ditch, you look at the amount that it's above the ground that the tree grows out of. Or v'chein b'keren zavis. Let's say the tree was in a corner and it was surrounded by 3 walls. So do you measure it from the bottom of the ground or maybe only above the walls that it's growing? Ahu dikla, there was a palm tree, it was growing, he had a palm tree growing literally in the middle of his house. I guess he had a skylight and the tree grew through the skylight. Also, Rav Yosef Visharili. So Rav Yosef permitted them, that is at least to use the branches that were not greater than 3 tvachim above the roof. When you permit it is karabah sharalach. So you must have permitted based on the sheet of Rabbah. Otherwise, you would look at from the ground, not from the roof. So the Gemara says, Pshita, I understand this machloikas Rabbah and Rav Sheshes, and it's very clear that he's passing like Rabbah. Why would I think different? How does I feel Rav Sheshes? Because here maybe Rav Sheshes would agree that it's permitted. Why? Besa commandam olidami. A house is viewed as if it's filled, like with dirt. Therefore, even he would agree that this is like the ground. And when you're within 3 tvachim of the ground, of the roof, it's like, since the whole house is like the ground, you're also within the ground. Kamash Malon, that Rav Sheshes would prohibit. Tonight, we learn in our Mishnah, if the roots are sticking out more than 3 tvachim from the ground, you can't sit. If they haven't come back to within 3 tvachim, then of course pshita. Why would I think that this would be any different than a regular tree? And we're still, that means these roots are, some of the roots are not within 3 tvachim, and yet the Mishnah said you're not allowed to sit on it. So this seems to be a kasha on Rabbah and a support of Rav Sheshes. Versus lo olam de lo hadri kaifi. We're talking about roots that are all above 3 tvachim. They aren't coming back down. So we asked the question, that would be a davar pashut, that it would be prohibited. Why would it be different than any other ilan? For example, let's say you had a branch which was not a completely uniform branch. Some of the branch was above 3 and some of it was within 3. So maybe you would think that in that case it would be permitted. So kamash b'lan that were not permitted. Tarabana. Sharshe ilan shegavoim and art shlosha tfachim. You have roots of a tree that are above 3 tfachim. Or sheyesh chalal tachtem shlosha tfachim. Or there's space below the tree with 3 tfachim. Afal pi shetziro echad shavel arts. Even one of the branches is within it, within 3 tfachim. You're not allowed to sit on such a branch. Why not? Lefi she'ein oilin ba'ilon. This is the gzeira. You're not allowed to climb a tree. Ve'einitlan be'ilon. You can't lean on it, hang by it. Ve'enisharim, you can't lean on it. V'lo be'ilon mibad yom. You can't climb the tree from Erev Shabbos v'yeshav sham kol yom kulo and sit there all day.
Is it because you may knock off a branch?
Yes.
No.
You might come to take a branch off. ולא יעלה בילה מבעוד יום וישב שם כל יום כולו. אחד אילון ואחד כל בהמה. You can't do it. You can't sit on a behema on Shabbos. אבל בור שיח ומאמר בגדר, but a ditch or a cave or a fence, metapis v'olam metapis v'yored, you can climb them afilu hein mea amma. Tani chada im olam muter leirid. One Brisa says that if you climb the tree, you can come down. The Tani chada also leirid. That says if you climb, you can't come down. Loy kasha kami bod yom. Kan mishachashecha. That means if you climb from Erev Shabbos, we give you the right to come down. If you violated Shabbos, you know you're not supposed to do it on Shabbos, and you did it even when Shabbos started, we give you a and let you come down. B-boy Sema, one way to learn Hava Haba Chashachet. Both cases are talking about when you climbed it on Shabbos. Like Kasha, it can't be amazing. Let's say you didn't know that it was prohibited, so there we allow you to come down. But if you knew it was prohibited, you did it anyway. It's amazing. We don't allow you to come down. B-boy Sema, if you want Hava Haba Shoygate. Both cases are Shoygate. So what's the machlokes? How come one allows you to come down, one does not? They made a knas shoygig because you might do it b'mezid. That even though you did it b'shogig, we give you a knas because it's karav l'mezid. We don't knas you, and therefore we allow you to come down. It's a machlokes tanoi. The following. You have certain korbanos, like a bechor, where after you do the shechita, you collect the blood in a cup, in a kli, and then you go to the mizbeach and you sprinkle it on one of the corners. And that's it, you have kapara. Now let's say you had a number of korbanos where you only needed one matana, and it got mixed up with blood of other korbanos that needs one matana. So the halach is yitnadnu b'matana achas. You can apply from this mixture with one matana, and therefore this one matana serves to be mechaper for all the korbanos. Matan arba, you're not the matan arba. Let's say you shechted a chatas. A korban chatas requires applying the blood to each one of the four corners. Let's say a blood from one chatas got mixed with the blood of another chatas. You're not b'matan arba. You put the blood on all four corners. Therefore, it's fine. Now it becomes more complicated. The following: matan arba b'matan achas. Let's say a korban chatas got mixed. The blood of a korban chatas got mixed with the blood of a korban bechor. The korban chatas requires 4 applications. The bechor requires 1. Even though you're going to be a bal toisif, because for the bechor you're only supposed to do it 1. You're going to give 4. So Eliezer says, give 4. The Kesavar Kuma say mitzvah odif, that performing the mitzvah the way you're supposed to by the arba is more important than bal toisif. Afagayda by mitzvah iket tzadavera, the over bechor bal toisif. There's a tzadavera here because for the bechor korban you're over bal toisif. Comes Rashi to say osi asay the chatas, the chsi v'nosan kronois the dochil bal toisif the bechor, and asay is usually doicha loita asay. So in this case, the kumas say of giving the matonis on the arba kronois would be doicha the bal toisif of the bechor. Rabbi Yeshua oimer yenadu b'matanachas. Rabbi Yeshua says no, don't do bal toisif. You should be a sheval kiven the kaimelon kolani tani amizbech achitzon shenosam matar kiper. The din is like this: the ikra din, a korban chatas has to have 4 applications. But b'diavad, if you only did one application, you were mechaper. So here, we don't want to do more than one because we're going to be over Baal Toisif. And since we know, even though lechatchila I'm supposed to do 4, but if I can get away with 1, lo avrina about we'd rather avoid being over Baal Toisif. What about mishum Baal Tigara? There's also if you're supposed to have 4 minim in the lulav, you only have 2. You're also over Baal Tigara. So maybe by only applying 1 of a korban chatas, which you need 4. So, and how come you're not worried mishum Baal Tigara? Gomer time mutav. Shi'akor Baal Tigara me'elav b'sheva al taisa. Shu yoishev eino oiker alav yadayim. Listen, here the Baal Tigara, you're doing b'sheva al taisa. You're only doing 1. You didn't do it. It's an inaction by not applying the other 3 that's causing you to do. So I'd rather you b'sheva al taisa be over the Baal Toisef than actually apply the 4 and do the Baal Toisef with an action. And in this way, I'll also have kapor for the Baal Chatas because we know that mat nachas b'diavad is mechaper. So fundamental machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Eliezer says to Rabbi Yoshua, by you only allowing 1 application, harehu oiver al Baal Tigara, you're minimizing what you're supposed to do for a chatas, which is 4, and you're only doing 1. Rabbi Yoshua harehu oiver b'val toisif. Yeah, but you that are requiring a mixture of a bechor and a chatas to apply 4, you're being over Baal Toisif for the bechor. Rabbi Eliezer says, if I have a standalone korban bechor with blood from a korban bechor, and it's not mixed with anything, then in a chanami, there's a lav of Baal Toisif. But if I mixed it, like in this case, it's only kishu ba'atzmo that I do extra applications that I'm over Baal Toisif. But according to Rabbi Eliezer, by having a mixture, I'm not over Baal Toisif. He says this. He gave him the same answer. You had a problem with me that I'm taking a chatas, which is supposed to have 4 applications. I'm only doing 1. I'm being over Baal Tigara, but the Baal Tigara is only when the chatas blood stands alone. If it's mixed with the bechor blood, then I'm not over Baal Tigara. So he answered to Rabbi Eliezer exactly like Rabbi Eliezer answered to him, except Rabbi Yeshua had another answer. The Odam Rabbi Yeshua, Kishanasata, when you gave 4 instead of 1, Avarta al Baal Toisif, Vasita Masa Biadecha. You were over Baal Toisif, you did it biyadayim. But Kishaloi Nasata, when you sat back and only applied 1, yes, you were over Baal Tigara, but Vasita Masa Biadecha. The Rabbi Eliezer, the Amar Hasam Kumasei Odif. It seemed that to do the assay properly, to apply 4 chatas is Hachanami Yered. So here as well, by Shabbos, when you're sitting in the tree, coming down from the tree is a mitzvah. The calls Monshu Yoshev Mishtamesh Varezet Tashmish. By sitting in the tree every minute you're using it, so get out of there. Hilkach Afagav Da'ashta Mishtamesh Tashmish Ache Kishayorid Yosef Yosef Adif Mishiyeshev Sham. It's better that he come out of the tree and do something active to get him out of that. Rabbi Yeshua Amar Hasam Sheval Tais Adif Achadam Elo Yerid. So maybe Rabbi Yoshua over there by Korban Chatas, who says better to be inactive, maybe it's better to sit in the tree all day. So the Gemara wanted to compare the Machlokes Tanoim there by the Korbanos to the Machlokes here by the tree. Whether if you climb the tree, you're allowed to come down or not. So the Gemara says Dilma Loihi. Really, this attempt to analogize these machloksim is not correct. Over there by the korbanos, Why did Rabbi Ezra say kumasei adif ela dekovid mitzvah? There, you actually performed the mitzvah by applying the 4 bloods of a chatas. You performed the mitzvah. Here, there's no mitzvah. You're sitting. We're saying, get out of the tree, so you're not oiver the tashmish of the elam. It's not. You're not performing a mitzvah. So maybe al-chanami lo yerig. So maybe he wouldn't tell you to come down. Why over there did he say that it's better to be baltigora with inaction? That's where he's not doing any isser. Because he's not doing baltigora with any action, and he's doing the assay of giving it on the 4 on the chronos, is going away on its own because he only has to do 1. But here, by sitting on the tree, he's being mishamishit, and maybe he should, even Rabbi Yeshua should get off of it. Because there's this when he sits in the tree, Tani Chada, one price says echad ilan lach vechad ilan yavish, that there's no machloikes about climbing a tree, whether it's a dry tree or a moist tree. However, Tanya b'medvarim and balach, when is there an isser if it's moist? Aval b'yavish mutter, because it's like dead. It's a dread. There's nothing to pull off. So this seems to be a kasha. One brisa says it makes no difference, moist or dry, and the other brisa says dry. We see the bark renews itself. Well, if the bark renews itself, then it's alive. So there, the gzer would be intact. If we see the bark doesn't renew, then it's like a dead tree. There's no problem climbing a dead tree. A dead tree yavish korisle. So he doesn't like that. You wouldn't have just called it yavish. You'd call it the gizu machlev. And gizu machlev. Ela loy kasha. Can't be masachama. Can't be masach. In the summertime, a yavish is mutter because it isn't even marasayin. Everybody knows that it's dry, and you're not going to pluck any leaves out. But when it's usher, it's in the wintertime where it's hard to differentiate between if it's moist or dry, and there would be marasayin if they see you go into the tree. Mosachama hanitri peri. Well, how can you climb it on the summer? You're going to pull fruit off. Or it says, but leka peri. There's no fruit. Av hakanatri kinsi, but you're going to pull off twigs. Bigadu, that's barren. It doesn't have any twigs or branches. More says, Eini v'harav ikla apastya v'asr bigduda. He prohibited even a tree that lost its twigs. So Rav Bikamatz of Rav only there was machmir because he saw the people that were very lax in these halachas, so he went extreme, but it's not neker adin. You're not allowed to walk on grass on Shabbos. It's for the same reason. You're going to come to pull it out. Sometimes with your feet, you'll be a sinner. Tanachada. One bright says, Mutter leilech l'gabi asavim b'Shabbos. V'tanya chaser. One bright says you cannot walk on grass. The other bright says you can. Loi kasha. Ha belachim ha b'yeveshim. Again, if it's dry, you can walk on it because it's already dead. If it's moist, then you can. Both are moist. Depends if it's in the winter time or the summertime. Like we said before, in the summertime you'd be allowed to. In the wintertime you would not. It depends if you're wearing shoes. If you're wearing shoes, you can walk on it. If you're not, then the grass will get stuck between your toes. You'll end up pulling the grass out. That both brides are talking about you're wearing shoes. Like kasha, handi isle ukzi. Do they have spikes or not? If the shoes have spikes, you might come to pluck the grass out. Then we don't allow you. Both are talking about shoes with spikes. But hadi isle shracha, hadi lesle shracha. If it's got like a wick, a long wick. If the grasses are long, then it's more likely that they're going to get pulled out. Now, says the Gemara Vayid the Kaimelan Reb Shimon, but now we paskin in Masechta Shabbos, like Reb Shimon, the Dover Shem Miskavin is mutter. When you walk on grass, you have no kavanah to pull out the grass. Your kavanah is to walk to shul. Kulu shari, it's all permitted. The Shulchan Aruch says, or Chaim Shin Lamed Vav, mutter lalechas b'Shabbos l'gabi yasavim beid lachim, and you're allowed to walk on grass, whether it's wet, whether it's dry, because of the din of Rav Shimon. Shedavar shem miskavin mutter. But you're not allowed to climb any tree, even a dry tree, even one that's lost its leaf. We're soymech on Rav that he made a gzeira there to be machmir. That's what Shulchan Aruch says. You can't force your wife to have relations. Shenemar v'atz b'raglayim chote. Raglayim is like a euphemism for tashmish. So you're a chote if you force it, force your wife. If you force your wife to have relations, then you're not have good children. If it was below das, then the bonim coming out without the das of the isha are not going to be good. Someone who forces his wife. Someone who has relations and repeats it. It seems to suggest that that's not a good thing. Whoever wants to have male children should have relations and then repeat it. So, that's loy kasha kan ladas. If she agrees, then chanami, that's a good thing. But if you're forcing her, then that's not a good thing. That a woman who requests relations from her husband is a good thing. They'll have children that even in the generation of Moshe they didn't have like that. Give me men who are wise. He wanted to get Nevonim with Bina, but they didn't have Bina. He couldn't find anybody with Bina in his generation. Leah went out looking for Yaakov with the Dudaim. I won you with the Dudaim. They had children, Yisachar, Zvulun. And they Yisachar, Yode Bina La'itim Ladas Mayasa Yisrael Roshem Osamuch Lachem Alpiyam. There they were Nevonim. So if a wife who requests relations from her husband, well, it's a zgula, the good children. More says, it's not so. It's not a good thing for a woman to request from her husband. Vamrav Yitzchak Baravdimi, Esther Klolos Niskala Chava. Chala was cursed with 10 curses. T'chsiv, Elisha Amar, Harba Arbe, Elu Shnei Tipim Damim, Achas Dam Nida, Achas Dam Psulim. This refers to two bloods that are a nuisance to her, the Dam Nida and the Dam Besulim, hymenal blood. And then Itzvonech, Zetzar Gidel Bonim, all the gray hairs that raising children gives the woman. Veheronech, Zetzar Ibor, pain during labor or during pregnancy. And Be'etzav Tel Divonim B'Kimishmo, that's the physical pain during labor. Velishech Chukasech, Melamit Sha'isha Mishtokechas Al Baila B'Shash Yotzila Derech. The wife misses her husband and misses out on relations when he goes on the road. V'hu yimshal bach, v'lamed sha'isha tovas balev, v'isha toveh b'peh. The husband requests relations even verbally, but a woman doesn't do it verbally. She might want it, but she remains silent. Zui mida tova banoshim. That's a good, that is being modest and not demanding relations from her husband is considered the right way. So how come we said before that if the woman requests relations, if she demands it or is seeking it, it's a skula to having good children. Ki kaminan demratzai artsoi kameh. When we say it's a schus, it's a merit for a woman to request it from her husband. She shouldn't say it verbally, directly. She should dress herself up nicely. She puts on, she entices him not with words. He will understand what she wants. That's a positive. So the Gemara went through 10, said that there are 10 curses that Chava got, but it only listed 7. Hani Sheva Havin Ki Asra Avdimi Amar Atufa Ko'avel. So she's covered up always like a mourner because she has to cover her head. Umenuda Mikol Adam. She's like excommunicated from people because she's supposed to be kvuda bas melech pnima. She's not supposed to be outside. So she's like socially alone. And chavusha b'veis, she's in prison because normally she's supposed to be in the house most of the time. What do you mean, my menuda mikol adam? What does it mean that she's not socially with people? Because she can't be miyachid with another man. So ihunami asur layichud. He can't be miyachid with another woman. Ela da asir lebeitrei. She cannot marry 2 men. He can marry 2 women. So in that way, she's considered menuda mikol adam. She wears her hair long like the demon Lilith. She sits when she goes to the bathroom. That's like an animal who sits and goes to the bathroom. This is like some of the curses. The nasis karla, she becomes like a pillow for her husband. The Rishonim explained because the husband is usually on the dominant position. The wife is usually below the husband. That's what it means. She's like a pillow. The idich, the other mandomer didn't mention these ones. How come not? Where it says hani shvachula, because these are praiseworthy. The Amr of Chiyamai Dichsiv Melafenu Mibemos Aretz Meofer Shemam Yichakemu. You can learn from the animals of nature how to act. A mule bends over to urinate. That's tznius, so people don't see what she's doing. So the fact that a woman sits down when she goes to the bathroom, that's a tznius thing. So that's praiseworthy. And you should become wise like the birds. A rooster, when he has relations with the hen, he sort of talks to her first. He gets her in the mood, and then he has relations. Just doesn't jump on her. We'll see. The Gemara says he spreads his wings. He does a whole dance. So that's. Now, first of all, the Torah wasn't given. We were to learn modesty from a cat, because cats are very modest. You don't see cats; they go hiding. the Gazel Minamala, we would learn about not stealing from an ant, because ants don't steal. When they see an ant with a wheat kernel, they don't take the wheat kernel from the other ant. The arayos miyona, and having lack of infidelity, we learn that from doves, because apparently doves mate and they stay trustworthy to each other. Derech Eretz Mitarnagol, we would learn how to have relations from a rooster. Shemafayis v'achar kach boil. He first does a whole dance before he does his business. Umay mafayis la. What does he do? Well, where is their piyus? Piyus means he gets her in the mood. I'm going to buy you a coat that will go all the way down to your feet. And because he does that by showing his own coat of feathers. And I will cut off my own, the rooster has this thing on his head that goes up. So I'll cut it off if I don't buy it for you.
Right.
Okay, very interesting Gemara here, huh?
Yeah.
Any comments?
No comments. You got to learn from I guess you got to learn from certain animals.
Learn from the rooster. Okay. So, tomorrow's schedule.
I would have commented the other day about the other thing about being Rishis Yachad and Rishis Rabim to urinate. That